Hey FJA students, welcome to another edition of FJA Math Notebooks. For today's notebook entry, you're going to need this piece of paper that came home in your packets, this piece of paper as well, so just those two. Title your notebook entry here, Parallel Lines and Transversals. We're just going to need one page. You're going to need scissors as usual. You're going to need pen, pencil, maybe some extra colors would be helpful. You're also going to need a straight edge. So I have a ruler, but you can use anything that makes a perfectly straight edge that you can draw on, and then glue as well. We're going to start out by cutting, and what I want you guys to notice here is that these lines do get cut out. So that this is going to be a tab here. This one's going to be the second tab of our book that sticks up right there, so that's going to be preserved. Third tab, and then fourth tab. Pause here really quickly. You'll notice that you should end up with something that looks like this with just that tab sticking up. And then here, you're going to cut off this part as well. So again, we'll just have this little tab sticking up. All right, so we should have all four of these pages in what will become a book right here now. And let's start filling them out. So this is Parallel Lines and Transversals. So you're going to put your name and set this one to the side. Let's first talk about corresponding angles. First, we're going to make a diagram on this sheet, and so you're going to need your straight edge. So make your diagram as similar to mine as you can. It won't be perfectly similar, but also that doesn't really matter all that much. So follow along. All right, so we're going to notice that this line and this line, these are parallel lines, but these other two lines that cross, they are not parallel. I'm going to label some angles here. So label those angles the same as I did, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are now going to write down some definitions. So I'll write down and then let's talk about it in a second. So we're going to write down corresponding angles are congruent. That means they're the same size, same shape, and they have the same degree measurement. So let's look here. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. There's 1 and 5. I'm actually going to add some color here. So angle 1 and angle 5. So I'll just make little tiny arrows here. Angle 1 and angle 5 are corresponding. You can see that they're made by the same transversal line crossing these two parallel lines. And since they're corresponding, they're therefore equal. And one other way that we can write this is this. We'll do angle 1, and then we'll make that equal sign with a little wave over it. Angle 1 is corresponding and congruent. This means congruent to angle 5. So some other angles that are corresponding here are angle 2 and then this angle down here opposite to 4. So angle 2 and angle 4, those would be corresponding and therefore congruent. And that means if we know that, then angle 2 and angle 4 are also going to be the same measurement. But we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's look at our next page, which will be alternate interior angles. We're going to try to make the exact same diagram here as in our first one. So let's try and do that. I've also, for alternate interior angles, added 2 more angles. So I labeled number 6 and angle number 7. Alternate interior angles are congruent. So we're going to write that down. So alternate interior angles are congruent, which means they have the same angle measure. So we have two alternate interior angles, and what that means is that they are created by the same transversal line. So let's look at line T1, and then they intersect, that same transversal line intersects M and N, these two parallel lines. So interior angles would be angles that face each other. So they're on the interior. If you think of these two parallel lines as like a box, those angles kind of face each other. So we've got angle 5 and 6 are interior angles. You can see that they're both interior and they're alternate. They're on different sides of our transversal. So 5 and 6 are alternate interior angles. So the measurement of 5 is the same as the measurement of 6. So write that down. This means that they are congruent. These angles would be equal to each other. Similarly, we've got another set of alternate interior angles. However, these angles, 7 is alternately interior to this angle here that is made up of 3 and 2. I'm going to color code that for us really quickly. So this angle 7 is alternate interior to this bigger angle here that is cut by this other transversal line to make 2 angles. So what this means is that the measurement of angle 7 is going to equal the measurement of angle 2 plus the measurement of angle 3. So those are alternate interior. All right, pretty cool. Let's move on to the next one. For the next one, we're going to be talking about alternate exterior angles. So again, let's go ahead here and we are going to make this diagram, but actually we're going to make it a little bit different this time. So a little bit different this time. We took out transversal 2. So we've got angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alternate exterior angles, again, are created by one transversal line that crosses 2 parallel lines. So we've got our transversal line there, and these 2 parallel lines, M and N. Now, alternate exterior angles are the angles that are exterior, so they don't face each other, they face away from each other. So 1, 2, and 6 and 5 are alternate exterior angles. And you can kind of see immediately which ones line up. 2 and 6 are kind of like the same. These are alternate exterior angles. They're on different sides of the transversal, and they're on opposite sides of their parallel lines. 1 and 5 are going to be also alternate exterior angles. Now, the rule is that alternate exterior angles also are congruent, just like alternate interior angles. So let's write that down. So let's write all of this down. Angles 1 and angles 5 are alternate exterior angles, therefore they are congruent. They would have the same measure. And angles 2 and 6 are alternate exterior as well. Lastly, we need to put all of this together as a book. So this is going to be the last page. Alternate interior will be the second to last page. Corresponding angles will be the third, and then this page is just going to cover it up. Now, if you have a stapler available to you, then you could staple these together. I happen to have one, so that's what I'm going to do. If not, then you can glue, and remember I'm stapling on the left side, just like a little book. I'm going to staple those together and then glue it all down. Now, if you don't have a stapler, you could also glue inside of those pages, but you're just going to stick them together somehow and then glue that down into your page like so. And there you have it, your notes on alternate exterior, alternate interior angles, corresponding angles for parallel lines and transversals.